Hmm. Not typically. Oh, so nice. But that's the type of world that you live in. Type of world where everybody and everything kind of goes together cohesively. And you make trips to go places like that to experience it firsthand. And go to Africa and see the animals that are protected. And everybody kind of looks out for it. It's beautiful. Or you go to the foreign Indian or countries like India and experience how they have all these foods and also innovations in these different regions with these different geographical makeups that they're actually paying attention to. And you can kind of see, well, they do this here because it's hotter, right? So we wore these long, nice robes, and it felt so good walking around. Child, I had nothing on about it. You had nothing about it. Girl, you wild. I know, girl, but I felt the best I ever felt. Did you? I did. We relaxed and we sipped wine. Oh, that was Italy. You went to Italy? The best Italian food I ever had. Did you? Well, there's just he's out there studying. He went there when he was a kid and he decided to go back. You at least get to take a nice, expensive journey somewhere in your lifetime where passports are abundant and you can kind of travel back and forth and experience the nice necessities of one's place. And it's beautiful. And you kind of sit there and enjoy it. You went to Hawaii. I went to Hawaii. I went to Australia, the Outback. Let me tell you. I'll tell you about the Outback. Child, they got these kangaroo that come right up to the car. They be hopping around all funny like make you wonder what's going on. And everybody kind of have their own. And it's beautiful. And you honor it. And you cherish the fact that everybody's not the same. You know? You cherish the fact that everybody has their own niche or their own geographical culture and background. I started thinking about like the Indian Museum I said a few minutes ago about how it's how when I went to DC I was like, that's nice right there. You know? Like you should kinda keep stuff like that. That's beautiful that you have these places and you should be honoring them and making sure that you keep them proper. You know? Like you don't want to have good qualities like that go away. People respecting the earth, and it's almost should have been a sign to the government then to respect the earth. Honestly, or the Indians had it honest. Like I said, there's always messages I feel in everything I do, and if you sit back and you listen, even though they're simple as heck, some of them even simple as they speak volume. Kind of like what's all this people around me. I'm like, it speaks a heck of volume. And sometimes it doesn't matter whose lips it resonates from. It only matters that it matters. It can resonate from a child, an adult, an elderly, anybody. Like, it should matter. It should be simple. So also thinking about, I talked about the space thing when I thought about it. Having what? Different stations. Like, you never know what could happen. You could still cherish the earth and something unfortunate happen. And it has it to where it has to go through a cycle. What do we do as humans? I always watch movies where they have to send off people when they're in the stations and they send off pods out to try to continue life. Like, what if that's our next step, or that's one of our steps to come? The sun may not be around. What did they say? The sun might go out, the sun might implode, the sun might do something, there might be a solar flare, there might be a lot of things that you have to try to get away from. You might have to go on the other side of the earth, or you might have to try to, I don't know, I think a solar flare would hit. I don't know how it would hit. Would it go like around, or would you have to try to get as far as you could from it to try to minimize the effect of it? But you have to sit there and you have to think about these things. Could we build underneath the ground on Mars, or what is it, planet after us, to where you have, it's like a moon-like um, surface, to where you might can actually be underground just in case something happened, because the top is already kind of barren. So 9 times out of 10, could you take the glow of the moon and, you know what I mean, and try to live underneath the surface? Those places, like, I really want to go to that place where they always show these men that kind of dig out they look like luxurious estates in the ground, like things like that. Like, I don't know, I feel like the world is still not ready for the world, and it should start getting there. I really do. With some of the things I've seen, I'm like, we could be a superior being, but we have yet to realize, in superiority comes the realization that everybody's worthy, and everybody should work together versus working apart. And to fix a problem the right way, without having to go to do this or do that or do this or do that. You know what I mean? Like, if you cut your neighbor's tree down, or if, what was that movie, The Mist, something where the thing fell in the guy's yard, and where you just do stuff automatically. Like, you know what? My limbs fell in the yard, broke your fence. Already had it priced, and you don't have to worry about it. Just whenever you're home, I'm going to send somebody over there, and they're going to have to fix it. Or if you don't mind, I can have them fix it during the day while you're at work. Oh, wow. Thank you. I didn't even have to worry about you doing the right thing, like, and not imposing so much. Respecting people's space, respecting people's time, respecting people's energy, and focusing on what you need to. You never know, you might actually be at war. You never know. You wouldn't know these things because you're so busy, consumed with people's own wants, or a certain majority's wants of what, conquest, or to be able to say that this, that, and not contribute together. Like, I sit and I think sometimes, like, wow, it doesn't, it doesn't seem to, what is the word, to register. Like, war, you're polluting your earth, you're destroying possible lives that could build. You displace people that could have helped that region. Now they're somewhere else. Now they have to gain a footing somewhere else, to where they might not be the minority. They might be instead of embraced, they might be segregated, put down, oppressed, or not really be living up to their full potential. So sometimes, well, war is, I don't think is not really the answer. And I think somebody else said that a long time ago. You know, like you should be figuring out various things because you never know. Racism too. It's a lot of people out there that aren't of your race that contributed to your race and you just don't even see it. Or you might not even realize it. It kind of sits on my mind where I'm like, the world should be getting ready. And it should be, as Greta said about making sure you're kind of conscious of the world, the environment. You should be conscious of yourself. You should be conscious of each other. You should be conscious of all the actions that a passerby could see and take the wrong way. I've said this numerous times. I said this a while ago. You start saying that you are admitting this and admitting that, oh yeah, well, we don't know what that is. The world didn't know what this was. All the other countries didn't say they were here. You have to start realizing the danger that you pose to yourself. They look down, they see you riding. They see you oppressing a minority. They see you conquering other lands. They see you letting part of your people suffer through famine, through not having food. And you're all flesh, blood, bone. They shouldn't see you fighting based off of ethnicity. They should see you striving to make sure that every able body is ably working. And if it's not, you at least put in some contribution big enough to have it to where you can enjoy some things. And even when you're enjoying of things, you never know how you could be changing lives. Like this person now, after working hard, say like some guy that did a lot, can now give back to people that are deserving of it or help different various avenues of life. Kind of like when I saw, what was it, the orphan the other day. This is crazy, but she was like, bring your checkbook. Like, it's a good cause. Like, certain people get to that point where it's like, just, you know what, you're chilling, show up to this cause. Bring your checkbook, girl. They're doing good things out here. Hey, bro, bring your checkbook. They're out here doing something big over here. You might want to look at this. And you get to that point, you start moving in this forward momentum that can't be stopped. Because so many people will see so much good, you can't do bad. You know what I mean? You're gonna be isolated. You're gonna be looked at like, what is he doing? We don't do that. And it comes into a point where, you know what I mean? You have your fun. You enjoy life, but not with so much selfish and this and that and fighting. Some people just want to be okay. You know, some people want to contribute enough to have their own and for their own to have or have the ability to do stuff. I was talking about like the whole military thing. Like, why? Well, I mean, I guess it's good to have, but you could be, I don't know if I think I already recorded this, but put them out in space. You know what I mean? Like, you never know what you might come across or what might be approaching you. Imagine there are 50 fleet warship just coming here from Megalodon, if they're about that life. Because 9 times they probably won't be. They done passed by, they probably done passed by. They're like, oh, they still. They still throwing, they still putting rockets. We looking like middle school kids. We looking like middle school kids lighting a fire underneath the, like there's no type of other propulsion that you could possibly looking into, a cleaner one, or there's no type of pod that could just go up and come back down and be like free of emissions, that kind of utilizes maybe like a blast from a like a pod blasting from a airplane or something, or it's already up in the air. You know what I mean? Like something where it's like, oh, you get high enough, then you just go off of the airplane and kind of go into the gravitational witchamajigger or the jigger jigger. Like you just, I don't know, you do stuff a lot different. You know what I mean? Where you already have a station. Now it's just, we're on a 7 Boeing 7, and excuse me, passengers, we are saying goodbye to John Jickelheimer and Mary Schmitz, who are setting off to the location of the Terra 5. If you look to your left or turn on your monitors, you can wave them off on their journey, and off the back of the plane it goes. You know what I mean? Like, and you're sitting there like, wow, you're a part of history. You're right there, that close to history. I don't know if that's possible. Who knows? Out of exception. You know what I mean? But it's like, shouldn't we be at a point that we're not? And realizing that is everything. I think like this moment, like I said, COVID would be like an awakening period. Like for you to sit back at home, do some home projects, or improve your house with solar panels. You might look into like cost-effective measures to save more money, and jobs might look at better ways to not have you come out the house and do this and do that, to where you're enjoying yourself and bettering your kids and teaching them more than you ever could imagine, taking the load off of teachers and learning ways to be cleaner in the house or more efficient in the house. Like when they started doing the whole, I know I did it, it's the minimalist, where it's like you have enough, it's easier to clean, it's crisper, like your house looks more crisp. You have these innovations where you research and, not research, reorder, and people that have these jobs that make your life a lot easier, and their jobs, they seem a lot happier. You know what I mean? Or it just seems to kind of mesh. And more people travel, and more people mix, and more people see different cultures, and more of the interracial relationships, and it's okay, and more fixing the psychology behind what has entrapped so many people for so many years. You know what I mean? Like, it's time to forgive ourselves as beings and work together in a more fluid motion to make sure that we keep our racial or ethnical or cultural identities alive, where we're not combating each other, but loving each other, embracing each other, sharing culture, not somebody taking it, but enjoying being a part of it. You know what I mean? Not somebody saying, okay, well, I'm this now, ha ha ha, I'm going to try to make some money. No, like, be a part of it, embrace it. Like I talked about the African dress when I went to, what was it, BAM, near Brooklyn. I was like, oh my God, like the colors and the vibrancy of it, and the shapes, and it's new and innovative, right? Because I was like, you don't really see people walking around with this on that looks like this. The colors are popping, everything. Not saying that the overalls and the turtleneck isn't either, but the mix. And you might have somebody that wants to go and buy a few of those and then show it off when they go out one night. Oh, well, I thought I'd throw this on. I was like, where'd you get that? Well, let me tell you about it first. This represents da 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 da. And you start learning and embracing, and you open somebody else up to an idea, and it's beautiful. You know? You see it? Like, and you have to learn energies and contributing and giving and doing and swaying. That's why I said I swear I would want, well, you know, say I would want a yacht to just be able to go and experience. Like, this is their culture. Wow. Like, I'm sitting on the floor right now eating this glorious food, or this food of grandeur. And with my hands, and it's good. Like, I saw when they were over in, I think it was like this Islamic country, and they had all this food on the table, and I was like, well, what are they doing? And then the men, they're just eating there. Like, you got boys, you got men, and they're all just kind of like rubbing, and nobody's like looking and judging. Just got food all over the place. And I'm like, that is so cool. Or like in Africa, where some dishes you do, you just eat with your hand. And I'm like, but hey, that's convenient. Just wash my hands, come around. You need an utensil? Nah, I'm good. You know, and like the spices, when you're talking about cumin is good for your inflammatory, or cumin. Cumin, I always mess that word up. I'm from the South. And then in the South, like how the South has turned away from so much, even though it's good as I don't know what. Um, so much of that saturated fats, and turn into like using better cooking methods that still give you that same great southern taste, but it's cooked a little different. You know what I mean? Like, it's cooked a little healthier. Food is healthier. It's just, I don't know. Like, you long for a place like that where you sit back and you're like, wow. Even travel, I want to go to Antarctica too. Like, I want to stay in some of these ice hotels, and you know what I mean? Or like look at the northern lights, and lay amongst the grass. Oh, like I used to do when I look up in the sky, and sit in Scotland, or one of the countries, Greenland, and just sit there and just stare in the sky with the sheepdogs running around, and like gathering up the sheep, and experience it. You know, and they're like, because people ask me, why did you keep trying? Because I longed for that. You know, like, who doesn't? To be able to at least be comfortable. Like, I was looking at those, even some mobile homes, where some people are happy in mobile homes because they like to travel. They like to move in different places and live in different places of even the U.S. And I'm just like, but they're nice. Like, this one's got like an efficient use of space, and you know what I mean? Like, even some of these homes, like I was looking the other day, some of them were in trees, and some of them were off expanded off of cliffs, and like little pod homes. I was like, what is this about? Like, they're affordable, they're different. You know what I mean? Like, you come back home and might meet somebody and learn so many different things that are cool to do, like mud bogging, or fishing, or do all these other things. And it's just like, you know, I don't know. I think mine is mainly allowing my child to experience that and watching their face when they do. that's what happened. Oh, this is what happened, and them kind of tasting things, and me just sitting back and laughing and being like, remember when being probably that dad with the camera, the dad with camera eye. Like, what are you doing? I'm getting everything. And be like, what is he? He doing this. He doing that. Oh, your son's running. My son's running around. Lord, he done got so big. And, just be beautiful. Thought of that a long time ago. Like, what if I just followed you around and watched you? Maybe granted, somebody else is probably, and that's when you realize life should be fair. Shouldn't be life isn't fair. Life should be fair. You try to do the right thing, put in the wrong situation, unfortunate events happen, and you take care of that. Famine happens. Guess what? We feed the hungry. Tornado comes. Guess what? Unfortunately, that's what happens in the region. Something might happen, but I don't know. There, losing live. But you try to prepare for it. You try to make life as fair as possible. This happens in this region. What are you doing to ensure, kind of like the hurricane-proof homes in Florida, what are you doing to make sure when you rebuild, it's more environmentally, what's the word, sound as far as not messing up, you know what I mean, or being sturdy. You got a Cat 5 tornado coming through tornado alley. Are the homes not tornado proof? Have you not thought about a tornado proof home? Trees and stuff like that. Are you not thinking about this? Like, it can get dangerous. Do you not have cellars? Not have underground? Like I said, the crate things. Why can't you put crates? If you can spend that much money on a home, I think a crate probably costs a couple $1,000. You can't put a crate in the ground, a box in the ground. Okay, darling, we bought this nice home in Tornado Alley. Let's put this half a crate or the mini crate in the ground. So if something happens, we know, go here. The house may be lost. We have insurance. It's the price we pay for living here. The house might be cheaper. You never know. Well, it's cheap to build, cheap to re-put up. We got insurance. We got the crate. Life's fair. I just don't get how things can't be like that. Certain events happen. It's unfortunate when they happen, but you had insurance. You had safety measures. You have all the stuff that's in place and in play to where you should be able to be fair, be honest, enjoy each other, embrace each other, laugh together, sometimes cry together, appreciate, not be so racially hung up on racial agendas or words that should hold no meaning to you, especially if you're not that word. Like, don't let the psychological part of life stop you from embracing each other and living your life to the potential that it should be. And if something happens to somebody else, being able to step in and say, hey, I got you. Or having a proactive or preemptive measures to where if something happens to somebody and if they were wronged, sorry, we were wrong. Here you go. Where you don't have a long out media felt battle. It's more of a come to the table, admit, be honest, and to move forward. Then it don't waste so much time because then you get caught up in that, like this whole back and forth thing. Like you get so caught up in the back and forth, you're not focusing on, okay, well, that guy still had a whole bunch of good ideas. Maybe we can make a council and kind of put some of that in place. Or he had some good ideas as far as like policies. Maybe we can get him to form a little team and go around and look at these policies. Or that builder had a good idea for some buildings. Maybe we can form some type of, like I saw that was the musician thing. I was like, wow, what was I at? So, Fulton. And I was like, perfect. Why don't y'all have this? Have like auditions to where, you know what I mean? You have locations where people can come and showcase their talent. And it's like through, was it the Magicians Union of something, I think America, something. And they can come play their music, showcase their talent. They might even have awards. You know what I mean? Like yeah, you go to these places, you you make your money, you might get voted. You know what I mean? Like, hey, have the New York Musicians Award ceremony where people actually really recognize you from, hey, that's that guy from such and such, and we voted him, and he gets this because he still showcased this talent. Heck, the world made him can contribute into voting. Like when they come here, like, yes, I remember that. Oh no, they're not even. If they didn't contribute it that way, they would know you're from. I remember, I saw him play. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I was at. Where were we at, honey? We were at Times Square. Remember Times Square? I gave him like $3. He was so good. I said, I figured they just give like $1. I was like, I gave him a 10. You gave him a 10, yeah. Well, he's on TV now. He's getting an award. He's getting an award, yeah. Like recognizing each other, food, everything, businesses, small businesses, job security, everything was just, make it to the point where you have to start cap and giving job. Be like, okay, now y'all have 3 kids. Gotta make a little money, more money. Do a little more innovation before you just start popping out more. You know what I mean? Like at least allowing everybody to further their family tree. To where it's not some one family overpowering the earth, and they kind of strategically know, like it's different genetic makeups, different gene strands, so that you can gene study. You can figure out what happens with this because your gene might be good here, but it might not be good there, and you've been letting take over the majority. Next thing you know, we all can't stand too much heat or something, and we start doing something, and we have this cancer strain, or we have this blah 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 in ours, and it's like something comes along and disrupt the balance, and the next thing you know, your live and booming family is on the bottom of at the bottom of the barrel because you start falling off. Yeah, we have a good strong cancer resistant gene strand in our family, whereas we don't really, cancer doesn't really affect my family. Oh, heart affects mine. Okay, well, all of a sudden there's a lot of stuff. There's better heart improvements, but less cancer, or better cancer, less heart, or the environmental things that could kind of prove on both. Like the lungs, there's somebody that has good oxygen processing. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but you sit back and I'm not thinking about these things. Like, do people really think how important each other are? don't care how much money you have. At the end of the day, it's kind of like everybody really has an important part to play. You know, I like to think even the people around me would have an important part of even being here to what's the word? To help fix people that have different, like they have like a team, like say they have like a team sitting here and they're like, well, we know this person went through X, Y, and Z. Well, we can send them to this location. They know how to kind of break that psychological barrier that they have. You know what I mean? Like they might feel like they might not have a family, you know, something unfortunate might have happened. And where you can come here, they're going to make up sure they're really linked in with somebody or something they enjoy to where they feel loved, you know, and appreciated. Their ideas are valid. I don't know, it's just the whole and then environmentally conscious to where when you're building, are you really thinking about where you're building, how you're building, the material you're using, possible future energy or weather patterns? Like, do you take so much into consideration? You know what I mean? Like, you're building so much on New York, but then also I heard that you have like these underground, what is it, underground caves or something? The caves of New York. I'm like, okay, y'all keep building. One of these things gonna start sinking in or something or imploding a little bit. You know, is MTA strong enough? Are you making sure they're strong down there? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want something to happen and all that vibration from the train or, you know, you never know. Like, you gotta kind of make sure you're aware of these things. And I'm like, I know there's gotta be people out there, but focusing on the way you treat each other takes away from everything else. Focusing on having to stick up for the underdog takes away from everything else. Makes life a competition when it shouldn't be more of a competition more than a collaborative, right? Or more a collaborative. Like competition in sports, I guess. You know what I mean? Like your fun activities. Like, oh man, remember that pass you made when you went long and you did that thing, you did that. Like that type of competition, not really. You know, I guess you could do science competition. You want to showcase your ideas and this, but not where it's like a competition on the wrong thing. You know, like you're trying to be a like global domination. Like, I don't think it really should be that. I think it should be a collaborative. Now you may have one person, or not one person, but you may have somebody that has everybody's genuine interest without bias. You have others the same way too. You know what I mean? And you can't think that you're alone in thinking some things. You have to keep optimism alive, and there's authoritative figures that have to implement laws to make sure that they're given the opportunity, because you don't want somebody coming behind me with the same ideals, the same values, and they're not protected. You know what I mean? Or they're put into this same competition, or they're made an example out of, or they're ping pong back and forth to have to get things straight or have to showcase what needs to be gotten straight because it didn't catch the first time. You know, like why then start everything all over again, like and again and again and again and again and again. Like that's not what's up. Like, you should be equal opportunity everything. You know? I don't get how it's not. I mean, I kind of do as a whole. Like, some people have these ways, but I think ways can change. They have to. So, I always said a long time ago, it would be sad, but going in the rate that you kind of think the world is, if the only thing that brings the world together is a threat like no other, that would be a very sad day for the world to have to come together based on a threat. Even though I think 9 times out of 10, it might not be a threat. It might feel bad. They might feel real bad. Like, they don't even get it. They don't see the beauty in each other and in the place they're given versus some of the places we've come from. Especially if they are like of the same being. You know? Like, I'm sure they'd be like, they just don't get it. We got lakes, rivers, streams, mountains, but we had to build in these metal cans we can't go out of. Or we've been adapted to breathe in methane gas, which is like, they get here like, what is, like their whole system is like, oh my God, what the stuff, like in a shock, like, oh my, it's not burning. They able to open their mouth. Yeah, we don't talk because if we breathe in, we're dead. Like our body is not like that. Like we can withstand your environment only because we really don't breathe. Or, you know what I mean? Our genetic makeup is a little bit different. Or maybe it changes to adapt. You just never know. Is it silly to think of such things in such ways? I guess so, because in a minute, back